It's our Friday night live chat where you ask the questions with the great Steve Porcaro. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music. So listen, before people ask you the obvious question, and we're going to get it out of the way, because you know they're going to be asked 40,000 times on this show, is Toto still a band?
You know, according to Luke, I guess it isn't. I think I've heard it's been said that it's finished, but I think if everyone just kind of looks at the history of the band has ended 3 or 4 times, and at least, or it's always managed to exist again. So I don't know. I have hope it's going to come back, you know? And
you had mentioned to me before, Steve, that you were maybe not as big on these great big stadium tours, but you like the smaller venue things. You'd like to be involved in on that level, right? Or is it okay now for both?
You mean with the band?
Yeah, with the band.
You know, I'm kind of done touring. You know, I'm hoping I'm done touring. I've had a great time. Luke asked me to jump in there back when my brother Mike was sick to do like one summer of a tour, and it wound up being 10 years. And I've had a amazing time. It's been great, and Luke and the band have been amazing to me. I'm just kind of I want to be in my studio. That's my instrument. That's where I do my thing. I have a blast on the road. I love playing live. I love playing, you know, the Toto stuff and getting those songs back up, you know, and taking bows for all that work we did all those years ago and stuff. It's been amazing, but I need to be in my studio. You know, it's been 10 years where since I've really been here, and I'm forgetting my key commands, and I'm losing some of that stuff that's part of my music making machine. And that's kind of what I'm all about at this point in my life. I mean, I'll never say never as far as touring again. And I definitely think and hope that Luke puts, you know, some form of Toto back together again at some point. It's his thing. It's amazing the way he does it. And, you know, I really hope they put it together again someday.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Shannon's got some questions for you.
Sure.
I do. Is there a possibility you could do smaller tours as a band with a different name? Perhaps just the 4 main members and the recent touring members?
Sure, anything's possible. I, you know, for me personally, it's not about all these lawsuits and stuff like, you know, like you may be hearing. That's and that may be the problem with some of the other guys, but it's not about it for me. You know, it was funny. All I'll say is that, you know, we saw Jethro Tull in Europe last year, and it was Ian Anderson's Jethro Tull. You know, I remember it being billed that way, and I remember thinking, when was it anyone other than Ian Anderson's Jethro Tull? Look at ELO now, okay? It's Jeff Lynne's ELO. When was it anything other than Jeff Lynne's ELO? He's been the only lead singer. He's written every song they've ever done. I think some of this stuff happens because of old band members, old ex-wives, heirs, whatever. But a lot of these guys started off as bands. But to clear away any BS, they've named these things with their name in them. I really wish, to answer that question, that Luke would come out and call it Steve Lukather's Toto, you know? Mm-hmm. And that would end all of that BS, all of that stuff. That's all that has to happen. And he can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
But
you know?
And maybe you can't talk about this. This is about the name, though, right? This is there was as far as you know.
Yeah, it is about the name.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean. As far as the details go, I really don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know. But it is about the name, and it's solved by just doing that.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah. Nice to hear you talk about ELO. Have you ever had the pleasure of working with Jeff Lynne or Richard Tandy?
No, but I'd love to. Richard was the keyboard player, I guess, for all his glory years, and I'm a huge fan of Jeff Lynne's. I met him at Gary Wright's house once at a birthday party. Just met him very briefly.
Are you still in contact with Gary Wright at all?
I sure am. Gary's a good friend. Gary's, we've stayed in touch all these years. We try to get together and have a bite every now and then. I love Gary to death. He gave me my first job when I was 17, and he's the best. You know?
Cool.
Okay. Hey, Steve, from one keyboard geek to another, what did your rig consist of when touring with Toto?
Say again?
So what did your rig...
What is my rig?
consist of when touring with Toto?
Yeah, with Toto these days, we had to be a lean machine. And, I felt like kind of in the 80s, I'd, seen my Keith Emerson wet dream come true with all the keyboards in the world and modular banks and zillions of keyboards. We traveled with our own 9-foot grand piano. We traveled with 2 CS80s. I'd kind of done that. So when I started touring again, I realized this piece of software that came with Logic, the software that I use in the studio, this thing called MainStage, which was kind of set up for live performance, to use a minimal amount of keyboards and have it access all these plugins and soft synths and stuff. And it seemed like the way to go for me. And I know a lot of purists, they go, come on, you're Steve Porcaro, you got to have the real synths there. I'm like, I want it to work, and I want it to be consistent every night, and that's what MainStage did for me. So my keyboard rig was mostly consisted of 2 computers, but I use Yamaha keyboards at front to play them, to play the software that's in these computers.
Plus, you've done it old school. I mean, you did it.
Yeah, we did that, and yeah.
Our autistic daughter taught us something, which is, and I didn't realize I had this problem. And maybe you can relate to it, but I realize that switching files for me is very difficult. Like if I'm distracted from writing a story or doing a video, I learned from her that, it's hard for me to do all this stuff over here. I just want to concentrate over here. Did you ever find touring, as much as you liked it, was that a distraction for you in some ways as far as being...
Always. It was, especially in the old days, it was horrible because to make everything talk to each other in those days, and even talking pre-MIDI, everything was all these customized black boxes I would have guys make for me. So an ARP would talk to a Moog. You know what I mean? There was just all this kind of very boutique-y, customized, fussy stuff that wasn't necessarily part of my road rig. You know what I mean? But a lot of my other keyboards were, but every year when I came time to tour, they would come busting in the studio and just yank everything apart, and there would be my setup in what was left of it anyway, in a pile, and it was very difficult changing gears, but it was the life, and I did love touring live, and I did love getting ready for live performance, but yeah, it was jarring sometimes.
Okay. If you were stuck on an island and you could only have one Toto record, which one would it be?
I don't know. I only have one Toto record.
We're putting you on an island, young man.
Yep.
Greatest hits?
Greatest hits.
There you go. That's the present. We'll have more from Steve Porcaro coming up next week. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. Pick up a t-shirt. Help support our channel. I'm John Beaudin.